Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David John Sponheim. I'm running for president in 2012. The biggest problem with our country right now is how Wall Street embedded themselves in the White House. Large firms like Goldman Sachs and Citigroup have had unparalleled benefits from the Obama administration. Tim Geithner oversaw one of the biggest debacles in U.S. history. And then he managed to get $182 billion to AIG. His department at the Federal Reserve in New York at the time telegraphed and said not to report $46 billion in losses for AIG during that time period. And we gave them matching funds, 100% for every dollar. This is a huge problem. And Tim Geithner is responsible for this. He has got to leave as Secretary of the Treasury. We also need to begin dismantling the Federal Reserve. This is a central bank which our country was never supposed to have. And unfortunately, it was forced to have. Back in 1913, it was put into place, it seems illegally, and we need to get that removed. The Federal Reserve consumes around $7 billion in operating costs a year. 18,000 employees will have to leave their jobs. We need to dismantle it and put the hands of regulating our monetary supply in the Treasury, where it belongs. So all of these sweeping changes are essential to getting our nation back towards solvency. We also want to help consumers with massive consumer debt. We realize that we cannot continue running in the red, individually or as a nation. We have to get ahead of it. And if we want to look at a long-term solution, I believe capping the amount of income banks make on every credit card user, limiting the amounts that we have to pay for past dues and late payments, what that will do will begin to get the banks in line, but will not restrict the flow of credit offered so that we can continue growing. As long as people pay back their loans, they'll continue getting loans. In fact, we'd like to build a program called a micro loan program that will virtually seed individuals with up to $1,000 in capital, virtually at only 4% interest, very low, and as long as they pay it back within 6 months, they'll be able to get another $1,000. So this is a plan to get our nation's small businesses going. Building small enterprise and free enterprise is the secret to getting our nation back on track. Small businesses employ a huge amount, and they've taken a huge hit recently. The merchant class in our country is suffering. They are really reaching deep to find out new sources of money, and this is a great way to get the ball rolling in that direction. Now, many people have ideas of small businesses they'd like to pursue. We think that's a wonderful way of seeding that operation. I'd also like to build up our education by not testing as much. Obama's talking about a race to the top where he tests more, he holds teachers responsible for the bad scores their students are making. I don't agree with that at all. We have a plan called It Pays to Be Good. It Pays to Be Good is a plan which incentivizes learning. We'll provide kids scholarship funds as they go along, performing well on their finals. They'll be able to get these scholarship funds to use for their own purposes when they graduate from high school. This is a way in which we can get kids at an early age to want to earn points and possibly even buy small items in a gift store at their local school. This will begin the process of building the education system without putting too much pressure on our children. Already they're burdened, they're depressed, they don't want to learn. What they need to do is find their intrinsic motivation to learn and give them opportunities to develop their minds. For instance, I'd like to encourage robotic education. Building robotics in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade would be a great start for a lot of people who are mechanically and intellectually ready for that kind of a future. What we want to do ultimately is give everybody the chance to explore their own interests. And I think It Pays to Be Good will be a great plan that won't put too much pressure on the states. It won't have to create this threshold where the states have to constantly meet the challenge of the testing to get the federal dollars. We'll be able to give them the federal dollars earmarked for programs like this robotics education goal. So in conclusion, our nation is truly at an impasse. This really is a nation in crisis. What I hope to do for our country is give clarity at a time of confusion, bringing us together and uniting us, galvanizing the center of the political spectrum, And that is what America's Third Party is all about. Finding a new way to get along. No longer do we have to look at each other as if we're labeled Republican or Democrat. We simply have to be Americans. And we simply have to look at each problem in a way that will meet the guidelines and standards of both sides of the political spectrum. Every program should not cost a lot of money, but it should have a personal investment in individual opportunities. It should have the goal of protecting our freedoms, our civil liberties, protecting our goal as a nation to be a nation-state model for the world, where states have their rights guaranteed to them by the 10th Amendment, and where we are a republic, but we have a democracy that's fully functional, that can make and create new ideas, make decisions that will be in the best interest of the majority of people. Everyone knows that a democracy needs informed adults. We're also looking at a shorter work week, 4-day work week as opposed to a 5-day work week. This will give people more time with their children and begin to get the time necessary to educate themselves on issues affecting their local economy, their local government, and participate more in their local politics. So, we want a nation of people that believe that they can change, not a nation of sheep that want to just follow a mindless belief in change. We want to see change, we don't want to see it cost us too much. And we want to have more than just change in our pockets when we get done. We want to have a robust economy with world-class products going out there and building exports so that we can hold up our dollar in the world economy and we can begin to show the rest of the world we are, again, the leaders. Not only in sustainable green technologies, but in a way of life that truly matches the environment we live in, where the earth does get better, where we clean the planet as opposed to destroy it. So please vote for me in 2012. I'm David John Sponheim, and this is America's Third Party.
Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.